answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth. Pretty strong words, but when it comes to Paul Kidd and Dockidds, not only must we be able to handle the truth, we must be able to uncover the truth, and that's what I hope to achieve in this video. After finally getting a response from Paul Kidd and Dockidds, where he uploaded a video showing what he claims to be his DD-214, and my conversations with RK, who is the United States Marine RECON veteran, who is now a historian and researcher, who is the one doing this investigation into the claims that Paul Kidd is or was a United States Marine combat veteran RECON. This is, again, let me repeat, this is his investigation. I have done my own research into Paul Kidd and his background, which led me on a paper trail. That rather than leading me to the United States Marine Corps, my son was a United States Marine, it led me to the United States Navy Corpsman. What we are going to do now, we are going to go ahead with revealing so far the information that was provided to me, our conversations back and forth through via email and messages, with this investigation into Paul Kidd's claim of being a RECON Marine. He attributes his lack of the fruits of the Spirit, he's mean, he's arrogant, to the fact that he spent 20 years in combat, in the Marines, not in the Navy, in the Marines as a RECON. And that he was in the jungles of Panama and bullets whizzing by him, and he had to either kill or be killed, and he has post-traumatic stress disorder from all that he has been through. And that's why he claims that the psychiatrist has told him that he's the worst case that they have ever seen, and that he can't even leave his house. And he is using this to condone the fact that the way of his actions, so mean and mean-spirited. But the video of him displaying what he claims to be his DD-214, too many gray areas, too many things out of place, missing information. It doesn't list what part of the military he was in. Was he in the United States Marines? It doesn't say. Was he in the United States Navy, Air Force, Army? That is not listed there. A lot of inconsistencies. Along with his medals, there is a category for a medal that doesn't exist. I want to take you to, real quick, I just want to read a response from a friend of mine on Facebook who is a career Navy veteran. And his response is, looking at my DD-214 as I watch your video. And he says, correct, words like pistol shot are not used, ever. I served collaterally on the shipboard security detail, thus my weapons qualifications are listed. 4.5 ACP, 12 gauge shotgun and M14 rifle quails. But expert pistol shot? Never heard of it. Turned that way. And it's a big red flag. And in response to where Paul Kidd is showing his award letter at the end of his video, he goes on to say, this is like I said, a career Navy veteran. The paper he is trying to show you regarding his 100% service connection, his award letter, is nothing more than an initial questionnaire from VA Regional, which gets the disability process started. That was not an award letter. I am 100% service connected myself and get taken care of by the VA. And I possess the award letter 2906/month tax. Who knows, but this is not an award letter. And before we get right into the investigation, I want to take you through, because I forgot to mention this as well. Let me go to my AOL mail very quickly. But RK wanted me to present, but he forgot to mention when I had him on the phone with the phone interview. I'm going to do this quickly and get this over with. This is, let me go here real quick. I apologize for the delay. Let me find it. I can't bring everything up on the screen at one time. I wish I could. Dave, he says, good job on the video. One thing which is also very important that I failed to point out, kid wears Navy parachutist and basic diver insignia on his hats. His DD-214 does not show them in the awards and decorations section. I think we should continue and present the other information research we have and request his response. So without further ado, we are going to go right into the actual correspondence back and forth between RK and myself. And I do want to make mention, if it was the fact, if it was in question that he was in the, that's not the question. We don't question that he was served this country. We thank him for his service. But if he would do a video and just come out and say, I was a Navy corpsman, an HM, that would be different. But he has made the claim that he is a former Navy, a former Marine, combat veteran recon. And that's where the problem lies. And it's not, I don't think it's stolen valor, maybe an exchange of valor. Let's get right into this. Now we're going to try to go in order as best as I can. I have a lot of documentation. This is the very first encounter I have with RK, the Marine, former Marine recon combat veteran who is now a historian and a researcher. I am writing you regarding Paul Kidd. I have observed Dockidds videos and attacks on various people. Like many others, I have been banned from commenting for simply asking a question about his military service. He appears to be my age and says he served in the Gulf War 91. Early in his career, he frequently wears shirts bearing the unit logo of 1st Force Reconnaissance Company, MARFORPAC, hats with both parachutist and diver insignia. My gut opinion is that he is lying about serving in recon for almost 20 years, but I have no way of proving that. This is early on. This is our very first communication. And he did not know at the time, RK didn't know at the time, that I had done my own investigation. This is before I could even respond back to him. I served in the Marines from 1984 through 1996 and with the 2nd Recon Battalion in Operation Desert Storm Task Force Ripper. It would be highly unusual for someone to remain in the same type of billet his entire career, especially after attaining SNCO rank E6-E9. His brief descriptions of service mention 2 specific situations, both of which are found in the movies Heartbreak Ridge and Jarhead. If he served 20 years starting around 1988 or 90, he would have retired in about 2010. He has stated he was in almost constant combat his entire career, but nearly 10 of those years were in peacetime. His demeanor is like nothing I have ever found in a former career Marine. I'm going to stop right here. And that's what brought up the red flags for me as well. My son was a Marine. I have friends that were in Vietnam, and they are very disciplined. They do not, even if they have post-traumatic stress disorder, they are not just mean and arrogant. He appears angry most of the time, yet can soon appear in a state of weeping euphoria. He claims to be married, yet does not wear a wedding band, nor is there any visual evidence of a woman living in the areas he chooses to video from. I'm going to pause right here because at this time he did not know that I had done my own research. And I want to leave Paul Kidd's wife out of this, but my research found her, and her name is Beth Bollinger Kidd, and I have photographs of her in her Navy uniform with the Navy insignia on her cap. And I want to share this with you because this is going to tie us into what I believe and what RK has uncovered and believes, that Paul Kidd was in the Navy. He served in the Navy, and he wasn't a military Marine combat 20-year combat veteran, that he was an HM, a corpsman in the Navy. Let me share this with you real quick. What you're looking at here, I hope you can see it clearly, is what I have uncovered in my research of Paul Kidd. And like I said, the paper trail is leading to the United States Navy. This is Paul Kidd's wife, Beth Bollinger Kidd, and where she had submitted a request for information. And let me share this with you now. Anyone with information about HM3 Mickey Bond, I apologize, I'm on AOL, Mickey Bond's Hunt, who went through boot camp at RTC Orlando, Florida in the fall of 1981 and was then stationed at Portsmouth Naval Hospital, VA, between 1983 through 1985. Please contact Beth Bollinger Kidd at Dockidds@AOL.com, or by calling, and I blocked out the number, the phone number, out of respect for Mrs. Kidd, or by writing, and I blocked out the address as well. So let's continue on. All right, continuing where we left off. He claims to have been a morphine addict prescribed by the VA. My biggest problem with Kidd is that he uses military service to bolster his credibility and excuses anger and attacks on people such as yourself. I think the guy has some serious psych issues. I don't argue with people over religious dogma or beliefs because it's pointless. Kidd is still using Dockidds as a platform to attack others while using a newer channel as a global home church to preach from. If he is slandering you or others, it is possible to report this as such or as bullying to YouTube. This could result in those videos being pulled by YouTube and strikes against his channel, which I think he's already had. But I want to go back up in a moment to the top. Kidd has had strikes penalties in the past, and this is why he is using a number of channels to continue his rantings and attacks. He admits this himself, and it's talking about how we can report report his videos. I want to go back to where he's claiming in his videos, and he is making the claim that he is a former United States Marine RECON combat veteran, 20 years. So we can establish this. Let's establish this before we go any further. Now this is from January of 2012.
I was involved in the church and sports, so it was a good thing. And joined the military. When I was old enough to leave home, I left home, joined the military. And that was a really good fit for me because boot camp and the training in the military was actually like a vacation to me. That's how sad my upbringing was. I felt like I was on a permanent vacation. And I joined and decided that I wanted to get into some real tough stuff because I just grew up that way. So I spent most of my career with the Marines, with the infantry in the Marines and with RECON. And was involved in all kinds of frontline combat, all kinds of really nasty stuff where, you know, a lot of killing involved and people trying to kill me and me having to kill other people. And, you know, God just...
Now, you did hear him say that he was with RECON, the United States Marines. Be right back. Now, quickly, let's move all the way up to November of 2012 with his testimony again. And we're concentrating on the Marine Corps RECON.
My female babysitter was sexually molesting me over a long period of time as well. I had to deal with that madness. So when I joined the military, it was a vacation for me. Boot camp was a vacation. Being in the military was a vacation because my home life was hell. It was a living hell. And it was like a joke in the military, which is sad. And so I started out and did my boot camp stuff, my basic training, and pretty soon I ended up in combat. I got married first. After I was married, I was in combat not too long after that, and in Panama, in the Panama invasion. And we weren't in the Panama invasion for the walkthrough in the city. We were in the jungle at a place called the RECON fuel farm, and there was a reinforced company of Marines, and we would fight night and day. We'd go on reconnaissance patrols in the morning, and we'd go sit in the ambush at night, and we would constantly be engaging the Panamanian Defense Forces in the jungle and just wiping them out. We destroyed, we decimated their army, which is why the U.S. Army was able to walk through Panama City in the little joke for a couple of days. We were there for months and months and months fighting night and day. The first day I was there, a bullet went about an inch from my head, almost killed me. And a sniper up in a palm tree, and we were constantly shooting snipers out of trees, and people would hit the tripwire on our position when we were in the ambush at night. We'd get in a big firefight, and just terrible stuff. And I was constantly seeing my life flash before my eyes, but the Lord just kept saving me. He kept saving me. And a couple years after that, and at this time I was backslidden, by the way, too. I was a phony Christian. I would go to church with my wife, who was a devout Christian, she still is, and with my young kids, but my heart wasn't in it. And if I didn't feel like going to church, I'd make an excuse. I'd say, well, I've worked all week, I'm really tired. I want to watch a football game on TV, I want to go hunt, I want to go fish. I was an all-star athlete back in those days. Any sport you can imagine, football, baseball.
He was an all-star athlete in those days, football, baseball. I thought he was in the Marine Corps. So he left the Marines, became an all-star athlete, then went back and rejoined the Marines.
Football, baseball, softball, basketball, soccer, played all the sports. And I was really stuck on my stuff. I was really arrogant and cocky and conceited. And then I was in the Gulf War not too long after that, and in the Gulf War with RECON, and it was just a crazy experience. We were there well before the ground war, fighting in villages and fighting in the border between Iraq and Kuwait and all across the
RECONs. We just want to establish that that's all this is for, is to establish that he claims he was a United States Marine in RECON.
Greetings, my YouTube and Facebook friends. It's gotten even worse than I thought it was going to be. The Jade Helm 15 exercise started today. I'm hearing so many conspiracy theories. I'm even hearing the 4 Marines that were killed in Chattanooga are part of Jade Helm 15. Let me just give you the lowdown. One thing that I despise is lies. I don't like people that lie. I don't like liars. I did 20 years with the U.S. Marines. Marine Recon was my unit. See my hat? That's Marine Recon for those who don't know what it is. I have the inside information. I have the inside scoop. I have the facts. Didn't retire that long ago, and I still have a lot of contacts in the military, in the Spec Ops community. The Spec Ops, for those who don't know, are Navy SEALs, Marine Recon, Army Rangers, Green Berets. That's your Spec Op units.
Please stay tuned for part 2.